Welcome to the Teacher's Compass podcast. I'm your host, Louise Schwartz, a former teacher turned entrepreneur, and I'm here to offer guidance, direction and practical support for teachers and teaching assistants who are feeling overwhelmed and questioning their place in education. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Teacher's Compass podcast. How are you? How have you been? I hope that was a positive answer just then, and I hope you've been very well. If you've been following me on my social media channels, you'll probably know that I am on this menopause journey, and I have started HRT last week. So I thought I'd do an episode all about perimenopause, symptoms that I've experienced, how that's impacted me, my life, my family, my teaching. And also tell you what I am hoping is going to happen now I have started HRT, where this is going to go, fingers crossed. So if you are a lady in my age bracket, probably born in the 70s or the 80s, I was born in 81, then you may well be experiencing perimenopause symptoms. And even as young as 40, I think, looking back, that actually I started experiencing symptoms about age 41, which medical experts will tell you is early. I am going to say, from my experience and the research that I've done, it's not that early, and it's about average. So I've read some case studies of women who have experienced these symptoms in their late 20s, early 30s, and they've started perimenopause in their 30s. I would say, personally, from what I've researched, that's early. And actually, when you get to 40, it's normal. It's absolutely normal to be experiencing these things in your 40s. I really wish I'd known more about this 5 years ago, because I really think it would have made a massive difference for me and had a huge impact on the way I've dealt with things over the last few years if I'd have realised this was perimenopause. Because I've been diagnosed with anxiety, depression, I've been given antidepressants, I have left my teaching career because I thought that was the problem. I've grieved that process of leaving teaching, and actually I honestly believe all of these things that have happened over the last few years are all linked to symptoms of perimenopause. And I kind of wish I'd known that sooner, because maybe I could have done something differently. Maybe I could have approached this in a different way. I mean, hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? But I do wish I'd known more about it a few years ago, because I do think maybe it might have made a difference. I don't know. So I'm going to run you through. I've made a list. I've written them on my phone here in my notes thing, because I didn't want to dismiss any of these things as just being one of those things, when actually the reading and the research I've done suggests that all of these things that I've experienced over the last few years are symptoms of menopause and perimenopause. I am no expert, so I'm not going to share any kind of, facts or figures, or I'm not going to tell you what to do. What I thought would be really useful in this episode is just for me to share what I've experienced, and that may resonate with you, and it may mean that you then go on to do your own research and go and speak to your own GP and kind of take that on for yourself. But I am definitely no medical expert, and all of this is just from my experiences. Just want to put that in there. So here is my list of perimenopause symptoms that I have been suffering with for 3 years. 3 years some of these things have been going on, and it's only in the last week and a half that I've had that light bulb moment where I've gone, oh, they're all linked. So there we go. So here's my list. Are you ready for it? Is it in alphabetical order? Oh no, I thought it was then. I thought I'd been really clever and put it in alphabetical order. I really haven't. It's just the first one starts with A. So, anxiety. Bladder problems, going to the toilet more regularly, waking up in the middle of the night, needing to go to the toilet. Bowel symptoms, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, all of those different types of bowel problems. Brain fog, it is a real thing that I can't remember what I'm talking about. Soreness in my chest, changes in taste and smell. It's not just COVID. No, I thought I did have COVID. It wasn't that. It's just my taste buds have changed. My teeth hurt. How do your teeth hurt? I've no idea. They don't hurt when I eat. They hurt now when I'm just sitting. Oh, I can just feel them. They're painful. Random. Depression, like I said, I was given antidepressants a few years ago, which that helped at the time, but actually maybe it was more so linked to my hormones than it was to anything else. Real difficulty in concentrating, especially for a prolonged period of time. Dizziness, which then linked with an episode of vertigo. I've since realised from my research that isn't as uncommon in perimenopause as you might think. So vertigo, dizziness, has been a huge one for me. I went to the doctors a few years ago, things like that, and I got some tablets for it. And although that has helped, I wonder whether the hormone approach would have helped even quicker. I don't know, maybe. Fatigue. Isn't it bad that women of our age, we get to a certain age, we just think, oh, I'm shattered, I'm tired, and it gets dismissed. The tiredness that I have felt over the last few years has been to the point where I've had to drag myself out of bed. And I'm not normally that person, but I have become that person. And honestly, I do think it is the bigger picture. What else have I got on here? Hair changes. I've got it straight today because I've just blasted it this morning when I got out the shower. But you might notice on some of my other socials that I've had wavy hair. I've never, ever had wavy hair in my life. It has always been poker straight. Yet over the last few years, I've now got a bit of body in my hair. I've got a bit of bounce, got a bit of a wave. Where's that come from? No idea. Well, I do have an idea. Hormone changes. There we go. Headaches and migraines. The migraines I was getting this time last year were horrendous, to the point I couldn't see, I couldn't drive, I had to just go and lie down in a dark room. And actually came up on my Facebook memories 12 months ago today. I went to the opticians, and the optician said to me, yeah, so your eyes have deteriorated and you're going to need to wear glasses. Whoa. That, again, is all linked to your hormones, and all those changes that are going on in your body has an impact on your eyesight as well. So yeah, if you're experiencing headaches or migraines, definitely go get those checked out. I'm so glad I did. I've been wearing my glasses for nearly a year now, and I can't remember, touch wood, I can't remember the last time I had a migraine. So that's fixed that one for me. Heart palpitations. I always just used to think it was just me getting nervous, which I don't normally get nervous at things, but those sort of like little flutters in your chest where you can feel your heart pounding on your chest cavity and you think, oh gosh, that's really uncomfortable. Apparently that's a symptom too. Who knew? Hot flushes and night sweats. If you know anything about menopause, these are the two symptoms that everybody bangs on about. Hot flushes and night sweats. And if you go to your GP and speak about any of these other symptoms and you don't mention hot flushes and night sweats and things, they will not think it's menopause. And I listened to the really interesting podcast with Mel Robbins. She was interviewing Mary Claire Haver, who's a gynecologist from the US. And when I listened to this podcast, I had so many things where I just thought, oh gosh, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. And apparently the hot flushes are the one thing that cannot be attributed to any other medical condition, which is why it is so significant in a menopause diagnosis. But I don't understand why it should be, because not everybody suffers with that as a condition. And if you tell your GP you're suffering with all these other things, then chances are they'll do you a referral for lots of other different conditions that it could be, when actually, potentially, it's all linked to your hormones changing within your body and the knock-on effect that has. So yeah, so if you're not getting hot flushes, it doesn't mean that you're not in perimenopause. But I have had those, definitely. Lack of motivation. I just thought it was me being lazy, and it's really not. For everything I've read just suggests that it is an imbalance of hormones within your body that has this impact on your motivation. Not just that either, confidence. I used to be such a confident person when I was in my 20s and in my 30s. I just thought I've got this nailed, I know what I'm doing, and even if I don't know what I'm doing, I can wing it, it's fine, everything used to just sort of like work out for me. And I think maybe some people used to look at me and think, God, she's got it all together, she knows exactly what she's doing. I've got a friend that used to refer to me as Supermom. I'm really not. I just was pretty good at winging it, and yeah, that was fine. And all of a sudden, I have then, over the last few years, hit this point in my life where I have no confidence in my own ability to do anything anymore. I need support, and I need help, and I need to ask for opinions, and am I doing it right? And is this the right thing? And have I got the right end of the stick? And the second guessing myself has been really upsetting for me, because that's not the sort of person that I previously was. I was always quite a confident person and sort of thought, yeah, I can figure that out, that's fine. But all of a sudden, over the last few years, it's made me question everything and whether I have got the confidence to walk into a room full of strangers. Do you remember a few years ago, was it this time last year, I was umming and ahhing whether to go to a networking event, and I really had to pluck up the courage to go and walk into a room of strangers where I didn't know anybody. And yet a few years ago, in my 30s, yeah, go to soft play and go meet somebody I'd never met before. Absolutely, I can do that, no problem. But yeah, those changes, I don't think you really realise they creep up on you a little bit. They did with me anyway. But that's something that I've really had to adjust to, that change in confidence levels, sadly. Where else have I got to? Oh, self-esteem. Yeah, I guess that's the same thing, isn't it? That kind of self-belief in who you are and what you're capable of, without having to have that validation from somebody else. I always was quite confident in my own abilities, and yeah, I can do that. And I think possibly some of the experiences that I've had in some of the schools that I was in, the questioning and the grilling that I had from some SLT members knocked my confidence. But more recently, in the last few years, that's had a huge impact then on the fact that I don't think I'm good enough. And I think that's really sad, isn't it? And I think that's something we need to look at as women of our age. We are good enough and we are capable. And the internal conflict of hormones that's happening within our bodies is changing who we are and what we believe in and our self-belief in ourselves. So I definitely think we need to talk about this a bit more. Yeah. Mood swings, well, that's life as a woman, isn't it, I guess? But should it be life if anger is taking over your whole kind of approach to anything? I mean, my kids will tell you I can get snappy at times, but more so recently, and the shouting in our house got to a point where I've just had to think, wow, hold on, take a step back. Who's starting all of this shouting? I mean, I know I live in a house full of teenagers, but quite often I was the one that was raising my voice first, and I was the one that was starting the shouting. So of course they're going to shout back, because why wouldn't they? So yeah, that's something that I've had to address and correct and apologise when I've put my foot in it and said something that I didn't mean. But yeah, that's a hard fact of life, isn't it? Adjusting to that anger that comes through and that kind of frustration. Muscle aches and pains. Well, again, if you've been following me on social media, you'll know I've had an issue with my shoulder and my neck. Now, I've put that down to lots of things. First off, working at the laptop more regularly in recent months, and the strain that then puts on, your upper back. But actually, again, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and been doing a lot of reading, and these things are really common in perimenopause because of the way the estrogen and progesterone in your body, kind of how that is impacting your muscles, and so therefore you're getting those aches and pains. Now, touch wood, I am on patch number 4, so I am 10 days in, and my neck is actually not hurting as much as it was. Now, that's difficult to say whether that's just at the moment it's not hurting. Who's going to say that in a couple of weeks it won't start hurting again? But touch wood, I do think that actually the patches have had an impact, because I haven't felt as much neck pain. So I'll keep an eye on that one and I'll let you know. Hopefully that's going to have improved though. What else have I got on my list? Oh, so period changes. Now, from what I've read, a doctor will not say to you that you are in menopause until you've gone a full 12-month cycle without a period. In my opinion, that's at the point where you're then post-menopause, is it not? So all of the things that have been happening in the run-up to your body stopping your period, that's the bit that we need help with. Once your periods have stopped, I'm not saying those symptoms aren't going to be there. I'm guessing they probably will be. But is that not the point where you are then, right, I'm in menopause now. This is the sort of like the start of, I want to say the start of the end, but it's really not, is it? Because we've got all this life to live in front of us. So yeah, I've got a few opinions about whether the period change actually is as big a marker in menopause as some medical professionals make out. But I'll leave that one there. I am not a medical professional. So I changed my contraceptive pill this time last year. That didn't agree with me. And I think now, reading through the leaflet that came with that, that's because it was a progesterone only contraceptive. So obviously my body doesn't really like that much progesterone. I've probably got very little estrogen in my system. So the combination of that was just making me feel dreadful. So I stopped taking the contraceptive pill. And since then, my periods have been all over the place. So the longest gap I have had is 42 days. And the shortest gap I have had is 13 days. Now that's not funny, is it? Bleeding every 2 weeks. My periods have got shorter. So they're only about 2-3 days max. And you'd think, brilliant, that's amazing. However, the pain that has come with that has been excruciating. Now, I would like to think I've got a relatively high pain threshold. I've had 3 kids and only used gas and air with all 3. So I would say I've got a relatively high pain threshold. The period that I had a few weeks ago, I think 3 weeks ago now, that was what made me go to the doctor. I actually was in more pain than any of those 3 labours. It was awful. I was tensing, my body was cramping, and my tummy was just so painful. Worse than labour, okay? Not good. And I was laying in bed, and if I could have moved and walked myself down to my car, I probably would have driven to A&E. It was that painful. But I couldn't get out of bed. I just couldn't move. I couldn't straighten my legs. I couldn't function. Like I was just curled in this ball of pain. That's not good, is it? We can't live a life like that. I was lucky that the next day was a Saturday and the football had been cancelled and I didn't have any responsibilities and I'd got to the point where I could just lie in bed till 2 o'clock after lunch. But if that's a normal day and you've got to get up and go to work and you've got responsibilities and you've got people relying on you, that can't be something that impacts your life quite as much as it was doing. So that was what made me call the doctor, because I just thought I can't do this for 3 days every month or 3 days every 2 weeks. So that was definitely something that needed looking at. That was just my experience, but yeah. Sleep issues, yeah, insomnia, can't go to sleep, then I can't wake up when I finally get to sleep. Wake up in the middle of the night, my brain starts working and then I can't go back to sleep. It's huge, isn't it? And we all know from baby years, toddler years, that sleep deprivation has a massive impact on your lifestyle. And I felt like I'd just got back to the point where I was sleeping quite well. The kids were all sleeping through now that they're older and it was all going okay. And then, ping, you're awake at 2:30 in the morning. But why? Why am I awake? Why can't I get back to sleep? So annoying. So if you're having struggles with sleep, any of these symptoms, go and speak to your GP and get some help and ask for some advice. What do you need to do? What else have I got on my list? Tinnitus. OMG, this was a huge light bulb moment for me. Before I left the classroom at Easter last year, from the period of time to February half term through to Easter, I think that was a 6-week half term. It was either a 5 or a 6-week half term. But I think I had 3 weeks out of that half term where I was off sick. I tried to go back and then I couldn't. And then I got a doctor's note and then I tried to go back again and then I had to go back and do sort of like staggered. phased return. And it was all due to what the doctor told me. I actually went to 3 different doctors in those 3 weeks, and I was told it was a viral infection. Now, from my experiences visiting my GP, if they don't know what it is or they haven't got an explanation, I've been told it's a viral infection. They're not going to give you any antibiotics because it's not a it's not a bacterial infection, so the antibiotics aren't going to do anything to help. But they didn't really know what it was. So it's just a viral infection. Take some paracetamol and you'll be okay. It'll be fine. That is not what you need to hear when your ears are ringing so badly, and that as a music teacher you can't go to school and do your job because the noise in your head is so loud that you can't walk in a classroom with a group of children without it sending you doolally. So when I read that tinnitus was a perimenopause symptom, I just had this kind of, that's what that was last year. That was what all those problems were. It was linked to a hormone wave. So there we go. That was one of my kind of, light bulb moments to share with you. And then the last one, weight gain. I think I've put on 2 stone in the last 4 years, which isn't good. Doesn't make you feel good about yourself. And no matter how much I've tried to cut back, eat less, work out more, all of that stuff doesn't shift it. And I'm guessing maybe some of you listening have thought the same, I'll just eat less. I've skipped breakfast most days. I don't really like eating breakfast, so I normally don't eat till lunchtime. So I'll see if I can push that a bit longer, and then I'll eat less at lunchtime and then just eat tea, or I'll just have a shake at lunchtime and then I'll eat a small tea to see whether that'll have an impact. And none of these things that I've managed to try out and test have had an impact on any of that weight gain. Whether the HRT will help with that, who knows? It doesn't naturally, it's not a drug that will help with weight loss like other drugs might. But if you get to a point where life is feeling a little bit more balanced and your hormones are on a sort of a steady plateau versus up and down, then maybe the weight loss will come as a natural kind of side effect of that. That is my hope. Fingers crossed. But yeah, all of these different symptoms, I mean, that is a massive list, isn't it? You could possibly add to that list with symptoms that you've experienced, but these are the ones that I've experienced over the last 3 years. I watched on my Facebook memories a video from 12 months ago, which was me going to the doctors to talk about the migraines. And I mentioned that I'd spoken to the doctor about perimenopause and HRT, and whether it was because it was a young male doctor, but he literally just dismissed me straight off. No, I don't think it can be that. You're only 42, so no, it can't be that. And stupidly, I believed him. Yet deep down, I knew that this is what this had got to be. It couldn't be anything else, because nothing else had changed in my life. And why would all of these symptoms be kind of cropping up for me if it wasn't that? So my advice is, if you are suffering from any of these symptoms, go and advocate for yourself. Speak to your GP and ask for support and help. I finally managed to speak to a GP 2 weeks ago who was fairly understanding. But again, is that because that was a female doctor of a similar age to me who probably understood what I was going through? One of the things on that Mel Robbins podcast with Mary Claire Haver, she just said, you don't feel like yourself and you can't explain why. And honestly, I've never felt so heard. That's exactly it. That is how I would describe my feelings and emotions and what I've been going through over the last 3 years. Something's changed and I don't know what it is. And as soon as she said that, I just sat there and thought, she's just hit the nail on the head. From my experiences, no doctor is then going to be able to understand what you're going through unless you speak to them and tell them and explain to them how you feel. So stand up for yourself, and if you feel that HRT would help you and it's something that you want to explore, ask them. I went back to a second doctor last week and said, I'd spoken to a doctor the week before, we discussed HRT, but nothing was done. Please, can you write me a prescription? I'd like to try it for a few months to see if it makes a difference. Make a compromise with your doctor if you need to, that you'll go back and review it in a couple of months. But something that might help you is there, it's available, ask for it. They don't want to offer it up, and I don't know why. But if you feel like research that you've done, that HRT could be something that helps you, go and ask for it. It could change your life, and I'm seriously hoping it's going to change mine. I'll keep you posted. So my GP has prescribed me, I can't remember what it's called, something Sequoia, I think it is. I'll put a link in the description to show you the ones that I've got, but it's a sequential set of patches. So I've got 8 patches in my box. The first 4 to be used over the first 2 weeks are estrogen only. So I have one on a Monday, switch the patch on a Thursday, Monday, Thursday. And then the second 4 patches are a combination of estrogen and progesterone. And again, change them on a Monday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday. And then you just continue with the next box and do the same thing. So they're 2 weeks cycles with 4 patches within each 2-week period. So I am on patch number 4 I've put on today. So that's the last one of the estrogen only I've put on today. And although some of these symptoms are still definitely there for me, I do feel a lot lighter over the last week. I feel like the sort of cloud that had been hanging and this sort of like fear and dread that had just been sitting within my chest that I'd got so used to has lightened a little bit this last week. It's difficult for me to say because obviously my sort of life path is changing quite considerably. It has been over the last sort of 12, 18 months and it's changing again. So some of that could be linked to that. It might be, who knows. But bottom line, I'm feeling good. And I hope that that continues and that the patches actually continue making a difference for me and that in a couple of months' time, I can sit there and go, oh yeah, I haven't had that symptom for a little while or I haven't had that. That's why I made a list really, so that in a few months I can go back and tick off the ones that have improved having started on the HRT. So yeah, my worry is had I have realised this sooner, would I have needed to have left teaching? At the time that was the solution, but if I'd have been offered HRT instead of antidepressants back in 2022, could life have worked out differently? Potentially. So if you're a teacher and you're struggling and you're in your 40s and you just don't feel like yourself, but you don't really know why and you can't put your finger on it, yeah, go and speak to your GP, get some help and see what you can do to sort it out. Because the things out there that will help, just need to go and ask for it. Right, I will love you and leave you. But if you want to send me a message, I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram, TikTok, at the Louise Schwartz. Come and find me. Send me a message and hopefully we can work together and see if we can make happier teachers, because that equals happier children, doesn't it? Anyway, have a good rest of your week and I will speak to you again soon. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Teacher's Compass podcast. If you found this episode helpful, click on the link in the show notes for more resources and support. Don't forget to leave a review on whichever app you choose to listen to us on. Your feedback helps us to reach more teachers just like you. See you next time.